style, sell with Sue. It's your move.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of No Place Like Home, a podcast where I share what's going on with Calgary real estate at this moment, and also what you can do to make your house, your city, feel like home to you. And this is a podcast where I just talk about lots of different things. Sometimes I have experts on. Today in my episode, I have actually had two conversations with the executive directors of different BIA, business improvement associations in Calgary. And I've got some inside information that I want to share with you. But first, do you know what I listened to, watched last night on YouTube was one of Oprah's podcast episodes, and she featured Mike Posner. Now, if you know who he is, good for you. Should I be embarrassed to say I didn't know who he was, but he's quite a world famous musician, singer. He worked with Avicii, I guess, for a little while. And he shares his story of how he walked 3,000 miles to find happiness. And I just thought it was an excellent interview, and his story was very interesting. But one thing he said in his story I want to share because it had to do with feeling, like home in the place where you are. He lives in New York. So he was in New York, and they had an employee, someone had come to work in the music business with them. And one day the boss says, "This guy's not going to stay." And Mike says, "What? What do you mean? He's doing this great job. We're working together." And the boss says, "No, I can tell. This isn't home for him." And I thought, wow, how interesting. If we pay attention to our energy and how we feel when we're in different places, we can sense what feels like home to us. And I know for myself, when I'm taking buyers through a house, I can watch them and see how they respond to it. And when the house is for them, you can sense that they feel like they could make this their home. Hey, very much like when I took my youngest daughter, we went wedding dress shopping, and she tried on tons of dresses. Actually, we've gone shopping a few times, and the dresses all look great. But when she found the one that felt right on her, you could just tell her whole being, her whole energy lit up, and so did the whole room. So, anyways, I was just wondering, do you feel like where you live feels like home? As an adult, what have you noticed when you have moved and about making your house, your city feel like home? I know when I moved to Calgary, it was after a divorce, and I had thought I'll either move back to Vancouver or I will move to Calgary. And when I came here to Calgary as an adult and drove around and looked around, I have to admit, I could feel a good energy here. I could feel the good vibe, and it appealed to me. And so, I felt like home when we moved here. Have you had an experience like that where you've moved and felt like this was home and it maybe didn't even make any sense? Reach out, tell me. I'd like to hear it. So let me circle back because today I'm going to talk just briefly about three neighborhoods, three areas in Calgary that maybe, like some people I know, you haven't toured, you haven't enjoyed, maybe you don't know what's around. And first of all, I'm going to start sort of with the downtown core and along the river. It's called the Downtown Commercial Core. It encompasses Chinatown and East Village. And I have always enjoyed downtown areas. I don't know. I was just born, created. I grew up feeling like I loved being downtown. So I'm a downtown girl. And so for me, I often walk around downtown. I know the neighborhoods. I'm comfortable driving, even though we have some one-way streets. But I know that some other people are not. They don't like going downtown. But this weekend, so I belong to a chorus called Rhythm of the Rockies. We're actually an award-winning chorus in Calgary, Alberta, if you haven't heard of us. And this weekend we did a blitz downtown on Saturday. We performed at several locations just to let people hear us and know that we're out here, and we're always looking for other women to come and sing 4-part harmony. And so when we were choosing the locations to sing downtown, the lady who was in charge of finding the locations actually doesn't go downtown all the time. So she's not super familiar. And so we were talking, where should we sing? What makes sense? And I was surprised that she doesn't hang out downtown like I often do. And maybe you don't go and hang out downtown either. So let me just share a few places. And I do have a couple resources, even if you're new to Calgary, about places to go in Calgary, restaurants to enjoy, weekend adventures that I would highly recommend. But a couple of the places on one of my resources is where we sang in Kensington at Poppy Plaza. And it's where the old firefighters hall used to be, right on Memorial Drive and 10th Street. A beautiful place just to grab a coffee, go down, have a look at the river. And in Kensington, I mean, there's so many great coffee shops. The Peace Bridge is just down the street. For goodness sake, use that bridge. We paid a lot of money for it. So enjoy it. We took pictures down there. And then we sang not far from El Forno Cafe downtown on the west side and walked all along the river past Princess Island Park into Eau Claire, which is all being redone. And it's got some beautiful space right now if you want to just take the kids or enjoy. They've got a little beach area, lots of tables and chairs. And they still have a couple of restaurants down there. So I still would recommend beautiful place to walk through. And then all the way to East Village. I was just there the other day and did the whole loop from the Simmons building, and there you can get coffee, you can go for something to eat, and you can walk all along the river over the Zoo Bridge in Inglewood and back. I think that's St. George's Island. You can walk back and then over St. George's Bridge. It's just really enjoyable, especially in the summer when the weather is good and there's so many great little places you can stop and get an ice cream or a coffee from. So I really find the downtown core beautiful, and right into Inglewood too. I just did an interview with Jennifer Buchanan on the last episode about the Music Mile in Calgary. And so there's so many great places offering music. Anyways, I could go on and on about downtown and Kensington and Inglewood, but heads up, if you haven't visited those for a while, maybe enjoy a tour, be a tourist in your own city, as they say. And I did have some very interesting conversations with the executive directors of two of our improvement associations. The first one I want to talk about is Crescent Heights. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, I went and did a photo shoot in Crescent Heights, and I invited my photographer to meet me at this location. And she said, could you send me an address because I've never been there before? And when she came, I clarified, do you mean you haven't been to this location or you haven't been up in the Crescent Heights neighborhood? And no, she hadn't enjoyed the Crescent Heights neighborhood, the McHugh Bluff with views over Calgary City on one side, on the other side, just all kinds of houses from pioneer homes to beautiful $10 million new homes on one side. I mean, it's just a beautiful ridge to walk along. If you haven't visited McHugh Bluff, I encourage you to. But as I was speaking with Camie Leard, the executive director of the Crescent Heights Village, she let me know that Crescent Heights actually originally was a village. That was how it was originally known before they joined Calgary. And so it's super diverse with some original owners. They're still from the 50s to, again, brand new infills. There's been some developments, obviously, in the Crescent Heights area, but great area to go and visit. Remember, we've got Peter's Drive-In. Who doesn't enjoy a Peter's Drive-In milkshake in the heat of summer, and then great food? They've got on Edmonton Trail where Diner Deluxe used to be, there's going to be a new French bistro inhabiting that place soon. They have everything from authentic Asian to Italian. I heard there's a bar, Gigi, as a BAR bar of Gigi, Gigi. If you're a foodie, you know this place is gaining a lot of accolades in Crescent Heights. And there's Gord's Running Store. I mean, a staple. And just visit that website, Gord's Running Store. And even though I am not a runner, I have to admit, I want to go running with Gord or the group. They have free running groups, all kinds of opportunities to go running with them. How about that? Free running groups in Calgary. Did you know that? And there's all kinds of housing there from, like I said, brand new homes to subsidized housing, single family homes to multifamilies. There's daycares in Crescent Heights. There's high schools. That's where my kids graduated from, Crescent Heights High School. And so many locally owned businesses. I've had many coffee dates at Sought and Found. If you haven't enjoyed that coffee shop, I encourage you to enjoy that. And they are also hosting night markets at 16th Avenue and Center Street, where the old brick used to be. You can find night markets over the summer season. So thank you, Camie, for sharing all that information with me. I mean, we talked for a long time, and you will enjoy it if you go and just visit. Park your car, have a walk around. You'll be glad you did. And the other executive director that I spoke to was Kelly Freeman, who is executive director of Bowness Main Street. Now, Bowness kind of has two sections, but I'm going to talk about the whole thing because I really enjoy that whole area of Bowness, which historically, originally, it was its own little town. Bowness, before it became part of Calgary, was its own place, and it still feels, she said, just like your own little pioneer town inside the big city of Calgary. There's still original owners there from the 50s, as well as a gentrification of that neighborhood with infills, tearing down of old houses. And Kelly was letting me know that there is going to be a new 52 unit multifamily complex being built right behind Main Street. Now, the executive director's role for these business improvement associations is they hire a person to come and help them get grants for improvement for their communities, to have street improvement, more lighting, even murals, and just so that there is a community to promote what's going on for the businesses to make local businesses viable in our city. Here's where the life is, here's where you meet your neighbors. And in the Bowness Main Street area, they have a vibrant community association and business owners who are just wanting to be there for the people of Calgary. Originally, they had a little trolley that used to take the neighbors into Calgary, but now they actually do have a really good bus system. The number one goes all the way from west to east, so it's easy to get around there. And admittedly, they have had to have a lot of water main improvements. They did have the floods in 2013, but they have come back to life. There are flower stores, one of my favorite health food stores, the Light Cellar. There's a brewery down there. There's Mike's Juke Joint. And just down the road in Bowness, a place where I enjoy taking my grandson for the first time a few weeks ago, Angel's Drive-In, which is on the way to Bowness Park, which also is lovely. I mean, just a drive into Bowness Park in the summertime, there's water activities. You can rent little boats to go around. There's a wading pool, and of course, the river. And there you can have picnics there. And in the winter, it's very well known for what they do, a great outdoor skating rink and the lighting. There's a little restaurant there. Really great place to go and hang out. If you're not in that part of the city and familiar with it, I highly encourage you, go have a look. You'll be glad that you did. And one thing that Bowness has become well known for is the Tour de Bowness, which just happened a little while ago, which is actually very well known and over the past 2 decades has become one of the premier amateur cycling races in Western Canada. And this is organized by Bow Cycle. So if you haven't enjoyed downtown, Kensington, Inglewood, Crescent Heights, Bowness, there's lots of ideas and lots of places that you can go. Try something out, enjoy it with the family, just have a day of adventure. We have so many great neighborhoods in Calgary, and see which one you feel like home in. I hope you'll keep tuning in for more information about what's going on in Calgary and in the Calgary real estate. And as always, this episode is on the house. And if you need help looking for a new house for yourself, reach out and connect. I'm here to help. Thanks for tuning in today. Bye for now.